I'm taking Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi lessons, and this week we were controlling an RGB LED. Um, Last week we were doing it with just on and off, each color on and off, so you didn't have a whole lot of choices. This week he wanted us to use the PWM function of the GPIO library to control, get more precise control of the LED using push buttons. You might notice from my breadboard up there in the corner, I don't have any push buttons on my board. Being the rebel that I am, I decided to go a different route on this one, and I'll show you that in a little bit. You might also notice that there's a big white ball sitting in there. One of the other people following his course had a ping pong ball over top of his LED to diffuse the colors better, make it show up on the camera. They don't show up well. I looked around the house and I couldn't find a ping pong ball anywhere, but I was digging through stuff and came across this white Christmas tree ball. So I took the hook out of it and it fit right over top of the LED. A little large for our what we want to use it for, but it does show a little bit better color. I'll have to turn the light off when we do it because the desk light certainly washes out the color on everything too. So I'll try to get to that when we do it. So once again, I'm using the VNC program to remote into the Raspberry Pi, so we can bring that up. And I am using the Visual Studio Code instead of the Nano text editor that Paul uses. So there's some differences in what we're doing, but I enjoy what Paul's teaching us. I've learned a lot from him. So anyhow, we'll go ahead and get to this. Let's move this out of the way of the code maybe. All right. So if people have been following me and know that I am a fanboy of the PySimple GUI library to make easy graphical user interfaces for my projects. And I said, well, I think that's what I'm going to use today instead of hundreds and hundreds of button pushes or whatever we need to get around their code up there. So one of the features of the PySimple GUI is that it has some access to built-in functions of your operating system, like file management and audio controls, and it also has access to the color chooser function that's built into Windows and also into Linux, has its own version of that. And so we're on Linux today, so that's what we're using. So it has access to that. I had never actually ever got into the color chooser thing on that. And it's a little different than the Windows one with all the blocks and the little thing where you can move your mouse around it to choose a color. But it works, and it's kind of fun to use it that way. So that's what I'm doing. And like I say, first time using it on the PySimple GUI. So I said, let's go at this in steps. So the first thing I did is I found a sample program on how to use it. So basically this is actually a custom, not a custom, but a built-in button that like I said, the GUI can library has text and input boxes and buttons as well. And this is a special purpose button that brings up the color chooser. And we use this target to tell it where to put when we OK out of the color chooser window, it has to have a place where it's going to put this information. So this target is one line up and it's the first object in that line. So it goes up there. So it's going to go into this input. We could also put target as the key, which would be in, but I just left it the way the example was, and it's working fine. And what it's going to do is when we do that, it's going to return the color that it gets, and it's going to be 3 two-digit hexadecimal numbers like normal. So we'll see that as it's working, and then we'll have to figure out how to use that to get into our 0 to 100% on our for using it in our PWM output. So we'll see how that works out. Let's go ahead and this doesn't have anything to do with the you can see I don't even have the GPIO library in there. This is just a simple one that's going to just return something, print out something when we're done. So we're going to go ahead and do it. And like I said, what this layout does, just create these 4 lines here, just create this little window here. And so just a text box, an input box that we're not even actually interacting with. We got it as read only, so it's not interacting with it. And we just got 2 buttons, an exit button to cleanly exit the program, and a color chooser button. So let's go ahead and hit the color chooser button. So this is what comes up when you do their built-in thing. And like I said, it's a lot different, but it's just got 3 slider bars here that you can use and adjust it. And this is what your resulting color is. And like I said, this is where we get it's going to return this number sign with 3 two-digit hexadecimal numbers. So if we go to all the way up, this goes to 255 on all of them. So if we go 255 all the way up, it's going to go FF, FF, FF. So that's what it's going to be. And that's what it's going to return to our Python program as well. So let's just, we'll bring it back just to return all red. So it's going to return red. The first 2 red, the next 2 are green, and the next 2 are blue. So if now you got 4, and then you have the other ones. So we'll return the green this time. So we'll hit OK. And actually, what this did is just returning an event, and it's saying that the input changed. It actually put that number here, and the input changed, and it's just giving you the results of the input. So, that was the first step. I was basically taking example code and just modifying it a little bit just to show what we're doing. So we're going to exit out of it. And like I said, we don't have to do anything with the GPIO library to clean that up or anything. So it's just closing the window. It's just, we're creating, go back to what we're doing. We're creating the layout of our window, and then we're going through a while true loop as fast as we can. And the only time we do anything is if we have an event, and and printed it out, or we're breaking out of it on an exit when we get the exit button. So if event equals exit or when close, which is the X in the corner, it'll just break out of the while true. All right, so let's go to the second step here. So this is same code here. We actually still not doing anything with the GPIO library. But like I said, we had to go in, I had to modify that 6-digit hexadecimal number that we had to do that. And so we're going to show you how to do it here. So like I said, it returns that number down here as a string and with a number sign in front of it, and then just a representation of 3 hexadecimal 2-digit numbers. So like I said, the first 2 are red. So what we got to do is we got to actually get that. This is actually something, this is a dictionary item that we have. So we need to get it out of the dictionary so that we can use it. So it's called, the name of the dictionary is values, and we want the item that is has the keyword like this. So we're just reading that into the C hex color hex number. So what that's going to do is it's going to break out and give you the string of what's in there. Okay, but then what we want to do is we want to break out the red, the green, and the blue. So let's start out with the red. So the number sign is the 0 element. So we want element number 1 and number 2. So to split out and just use those 2, this is how we do it with that. We're going to start with the number 1, and then we're going to throw away anything from 3 on. So that just that's how we use the string to break out just number 1 and number 2. And then I'm printing it. And then, so we'll have a hexadecimal number there. So to change that into an integer 10 base number, you have to take that number and you're saying that we're getting an integer from a base 16 number. This is the I hadn't done this either before. So we're taking a hex number, and we know it's base 16, and we're changing an integer, and then we're getting just putting it back into R as a integer number. But that's going to be return something between 0 and 255. So we know that we don't want that. We want to, for our GPIO library, we need percentage 0 to 100%. So this is the math to do that. So we want to take our number between 0 and 255 divided by 255. That gives us a fraction, and we're going to multiply it by 100. And we want that to be an integer as well. So we're saying it's going to be an integer, and we're going to print that out. So this code here, I broke it out into 3 different operations, but you can do all the operations in one. So for the green and the blue, I show you how to just do it all in one line of code. All the operations are just split out, up here, and I just showing you how you can combine them. So this is equivalent to this for the other 2 colors. So let's go ahead and run this code, I guess. Like I say, it's the same GUI thing. The only thing is we're doing a little bit of work on our colors down here. So let's go ahead and choose a color. We want some red, so I'll just leave it where it is. So our red color is going to be D9. That's going to be the 2 digits that we're working with for the red. And then the other ones will do the same. So, but the red, we're breaking out a couple extra print statements on. So we'll hit OK. So now you see what we got. So like I said, it's returning this whole number. We're working on it here. So our first one, we're just printing out those 2 characters at number 1 and number 2 place in here. So 0, 1, and 2. So that's the first D9. And then this line converts that hexadecimal because we're saying base 16 and we want to change it into an integer. So that comes up to 217. And then this next print statement is we're doing the math on this. So we're taking it, seeing what percentage or what number between 0 and 100 we're doing the math there, and we're getting 85. And then you can see that we're skipping all the print statements, but we're getting the same results because we had D9, D9, D9. We're getting 85, 85, 85 as our number. So, so now we got something that we can work with in our PWM library and or GPIO and the PWM part of it. So we'll exit out of this one. And showing that we exit cleanly. Okay, again, we didn't, all we're doing is closing because we haven't started our GPIO library. So let's move over to our final one. And this time, in addition to the PySimple GUI library, we're importing the Raspberry Pi GPIO library like we normally would. So going back to some of the things we've done in the past, we're creating our 3 pins that we use for our RGB LED. It's under there somewhere. Let me see if I can tilt this camera. So yeah, so the 4 things I just got stuck up in the top of that. And so we got 3 resistors and the ground pin going there. So we're using pins 26 for red, 19 for green, and 13 for blue. That's a list. So we also have a list of values for those, so RGB values that we're going to be using later. Again, we're using the BCM numbers because I'm using the cobbler there. Then you can set up them as outputs because we can just import that whole list in there and tell them that we want everything in that list to be an output. And we're creating, using our list comprehension to create a list of GPIO PWM objects. And then we're using just a little for loop to start them all up with 0, so they'll all be off to begin with. And then we go back down. This is our window that we're going to create using the GUI library. And now we go down here, and this is pretty much the first part. This is the same. We're creating just our C hex number, and I just instead of making them RG and B, I have these RGB values, and we're just putting them in their place here. And like I said, simplified them all to just one line of code. And we're printing out our values so you can show that it's printing out. But then we just actually only need to go through this one more for loop here to index through our numbers. And because we set our numbers up here, when each time that we change them, we're just resetting our numbers, that we're through the change duty cycle, and we're indexing through our looping through our thing here and getting the index, and it's changing the values for each pin or each of our PWM pins. And that's all you do. This part's all you need to do to change it. So, and then we still have our exit to break, but now we've added our GPIO cleanup before we close our window and exit the program. So that's kind of good. We got down to 33 lines of code here to take care of all that. And this time we're going to run it. We can go ahead and start it up. but I am going to turn off my desk light, so our camera view is going to get a little dark for a little bit there. Ooh, really is dark. I hope it comes back okay. So so we're going to go ahead and choose our color. So we'll start off with a red, see how that works. And we got our FF color there, and we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. So we got a nice diffuse red in there. And we can go ahead and do, might as well change. It goes back to this 217 each time. I don't know. It's like a gray color. I don't know why it does that, but we'll go, oops, we'll go to all green this time. It's kind of strange the way this color picker works, but it's saying that if you leave these two alone, if you slide this one over here, you'll get yellow, which is what you would expect, but it's kind of strange. And like I said, they're saying that we got, only thing we got now is green on. So if you go back, you're going to eventually get back towards black, you know, so you can have a saturation value there. So, but here's a green. So let's try green and see. And that's pretty good green. And might as well do the blue as well. See what that is. So we'll move them all back to blue. All right. And you can see this is what we're returning down here. We're printing out our list of RGB values down here. So, and we're 100% blue, no red and no green. So let's go up and we can try. We'll do the yellow one. So we'll go yellow. Yellow doesn't show too well on the camera. It's a little, not too bad at all, but that's the yellow we got. We can do a violet color, I guess. So we'll do violet. That turned out pretty good. Again, the camera's trying to adjust for the low light conditions, and I got exposure down on the camera as well to do that. So that's kind of cool. We can sit here and change a physical LED using the built-in color picker that's in each of the OS's operating systems. And like I said, whatever the built-in thing is doing, and we can use that's already built in, and just a few lines of Python code, we can set it up to change the physical color to whatever we want on that. So let's go to light blue this time. More of a teal, I guess. Try an orange, see what we get. Not really too orange. Maybe there's a darker orange. Not really. Some of the colors don't turn out as well as they mixed in colors. So probably has to be, I know with NeoPixels that there's a adjustment. I forget what they call it, but there's an adjustment figure on it so that it turns out closer to what the computer colors, screen colors are. That it's not a linear adjustment from one to the other, but they're close. Let's go back to red. I like red. We'll finish off with red. So there's a nice red color for it. And of course we can exit. So I don't know whether I'm a lawn chair this week or not, because I didn't actually do the homework that Paul put out for us. I did something different, but anyhow, that's what I got for this week, and look forward to lots more Raspberry Pi Lessons with Paul. Thanks for watching.